Okay, so this is the Pioneer 64-bit driver from the DJM 900 Nexus 2. I also have two of these. They are all plugged in together, and here is Ableton. Now, if I am on even just the line with the wave out for the DJM, we have a crackle, but in fact, forever the pads over here work like they should. Okay, so this is using the DirectX wave out essentially, but we only get one channel, well, two channels, but blah. Okay, so you can see it working quite happily. Okay, if I change this and put it onto the output of the computer, again, no problems. Obviously that doesn't show anything, you hear it, blah, it works. As soon as we go to ASIO and we pick the 900 Nexus, we've got it all working properly, and I'm going to hit this pad here. You'll hear it, well, you won't hear it, but it will work once and that's it. Now you see there is 0. That should be coming down channels 1 and 2, and you can see now that I can't change the pad, and so therefore up the top there none of the step sequencer is working here. But if I turn the step sequencer on, I do have access. This only requires an on note, doesn't require an off, whereas this requires an off for it to finish. Okay, and we can prove that on this keyboard here at the same time, only using your driver, only using your ASIO driver. So if I go back, MME, it'll be coming straight out my computer, and it still doesn't work because it's now broken. If I turn off my push, that may fix. There we go. Okay, so functionality returns. I have to turn my push on and off. But that's the same here. So if we go and turn on MIDI keyboard and then come down here, I'm not in the right octave. Okay, working as it should. But if I now change to ASIO, I will go, and nothing. And if you look here, you see nothing is being triggered. Okay, so come back out, go back to DirectX drivers. Probably got to turn off and on the MIDI keyboard. So I'm just going to prove that also to you, that it's not that causing the problem. Go back to there, I'm going to turn off and on this, and there it goes, stopping. You've got a few hits out of it just then, sometimes because they're fast enough, but that's it, it stops working. Now I'm also going to stay here, I'm going to prove that everything else works. Okay, so like I showed you over here, we have a step sequencer, these all work. Okay, all of this works. If I change over to session over here, and it changes the mode, this works, only requires a MIDI note on. Record anything you want, but you can't play notes. The strip works, all these buttons work. Changing the device stuff up here all works. Volume, pan, sends, blast, sends all work. Audio through works. So I've got here a track playing. Okay, so if I select to digital and my track is coming through, and I come back, you see audio working quite happily. Okay, and that works for whichever channel you want. I can then go over to sends and like this one, send all the way through to the send goes in, the send comes back, the send comes back. So again, this only seems to affect MIDI note offs, and it only happens with your 64-bit drivers. It doesn't happen with any other ASIO drivers that I've ever used, only yours. And they did it with the 900 that I used to have before, the old 900. So it's since you made 64-bit drivers. That's all I have to say about it, really. But you see MIDI's off here. I've put it onto channel 16 in the utilities, just to prove that this device here has nothing to do with it. And everything else works that doesn't require a MIDI note off, and it happens to this keyboard as well. You know, what more can you want me to say? That should, and this is a Microsoft Surface Book 2, but it's also irrelevant really what version of, as long as it's 64-bit version of Windows. My old i5, exactly the same problem. There you go. If it's nothing to do with you, it's definitely to do with Ableton, and someone needs to start talking and work that out, really. There you go.